Welcome everybody. We're going to talk about projectile effects, I guess, today, and how to get them out of one, how to export a thing from one project into another. So I've got this Niagara magical effects free for the week, free for the month kind of thing on here. And I have decided I want to steal the holy projectile out of here. It's not stealing. I paid for it. I paid $0 for it, in fact. And so this looks nice. And so these are, like, we've been spawning emitters all along, but Niagara is just better than that old system where we had the little explosions and things like that. You can see it looks really nice. And a lot of these things here are just super nice effects. And so we want to steal it and put it into our project. So you click on this guy here, and you can see that it is flashing with a holy muzzle Niagara effect. Then it is spawning a divine projectile, and this is on a BP projectile spawner. So I'm just gonna copy all of this stuff over just to make sure that that I have it. I went blurry again. Look at that. Yep. Stealing is just free with extra steps. Let me revert this. Reload. Just going to revert it, so there's no changes. I haven't done anything, I don't think, to change it, but I'm blurry now, so what do I know? Focus? Focus? No? No. Every time I adjust, you know, where I'm sitting, like, the webcam is just like, that's it. I've given up on life now. All right. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go to Asset Actions, and I'm going to say Migrate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to migrate this, and you can see that a lot of things are going to come with this. So it does not look like the holy thing is coming here. Am I on the holy one? I am. Right click. Yeah. Might have to migrate the holy stuff too. Okay, so I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say Asset Actions. I'm going to choose Migrate, and by default it picks everything that this thing depends upon. And so I'm going to just hit OK. If you don't select some of these things, then your thing's probably not going to work on the other end. And now I'm going to migrate over to the directory where I have my fall 2023 directory, which is a good question. Where is that? Let's see. Show Explorer. Where is this? Okay, it's over here. Okay. So I'm just gonna browse. I'm just gonna select this here. Okay. So that is my fall 2023 folder, which is there. And then when I come back over here to right click and migrate it, I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm just going to paste that path up here. There we go. Fall 2023 5.3 version here, and content folder is there. And so what you do is you select the content folder for your other project, and then it puts everything in there. And then I can migrate maybe the holy stuff to here. Right click, migrate, and that's going to pick up all the different kinds of holy effects. There's a yellow, red, and a blue, and then all the other things that are required. You might notice a lot of these things are duplicates. That's okay. And then I'm just going to select the destination content folder, which is my fall 2023 5.3 content folder. Hit select, and then something already exists, and I'm just going to say yes, overwrite them because you've probably already got them. And now, I don't know, I could probably do this with all of them. These are all actually pretty cool. I kind of like all of these things. Why not? Let's migrate all of them. Let's do this. Okay. And then it'll be like, do you want to overwrite? I'm like, sure, why not? And now, take a little bit longer because I'm copying all of those cool magic projectile effects over. Really need to reorganize your PC file system. Yeah, I've got directories and directories of all of my different, like, purchased assets and things like that. I buy humble bundles a lot. That's a great way of getting just thousands and thousands of free assets. So I think I'm done with this guy now, but I'm not confident I'm done, so I'm just gonna minimize that. And yeah, so this, oh yeah. So I actually did pay money for this. Okay, so this wasn't free. This is off a Humble Mega Assets pack, and so you can see inside of here, there's Niagara Explosions and Niagara Magic Abilities. The one that we just looked at here was Niagara Magic Projectiles, and restaurant and diner environment, and horror cafes, and all sorts of stuff. So I've got folder after folder of these assets that I've bought over the years. And another thing I might want to do is like fantasy art assets. And let's see, fantasy, because we were talking about doing like some sort of like spellbook or inventory system or something like that. So RPG, pixel sprites, mini magics, maybe this will work. Okay, so I'm gonna extract that here and see if we got something useful. Monk summoner. Are these pictures of people or nope? That's actually sprites. Okay, so sprites are actually the character itself holding like a weapon or something. Okay, 2D fantasy weapon bundle. Maybe pixel art fantasy weapons, pixel art trinkets, pixel art weapons, fantasy armor icons, fantasy RPG icons. 200 plus. Sure, let's have other. And so if you've ever played games like WoW and things like that, they have like a little frostbolt icon, and that's the one I'm thinking of here. PNG. Yeah, there you go. And so you can see these are very World of Warcraft-ish, right? Like cleave, right? You know, silencing shot or whatever, you know. So these are, I think, very much inspired by World of Warcraft. But they're pretty, and like I said, I bought them as part of like a Humble Bundle. I keep an eye on Humble Bundles, and it'll be like $10, and you get like gigabyte after gigabyte of art assets and things like that. And I'm not an artist, you know. I can draw you a square any day of the week, but doing this, yeah, is beyond my ability. So maybe we will have some of these things come in here. Let's see, holy. What would be a good holy? And maybe that thing there. Okay. So I'm going to come over to my fall 2023 project here. Okay. And you'll see over here that there's now a Magic Projectiles directory, because when you migrate from one project to another, it actually copies the entire file structure over. And you don't want to be copying directly from like a content folder to another content folder. The reason for that is because, let me just open up one of these things here. Magic Projectiles, blueprints, U asset. Open with Vin here. You'll see inside of here that it'll actually have like the right there. It'll actually have like the path of a lot of these things baked into it. And so if you move it to a different directory, if you move things around, everything breaks, nothing works. And so the migrate tool makes sure that all those paths get cleaned up and export properly over. And so I'm not going to drag things into the content directory myself. I've got all this art here. I could just copy it in there and it probably would work because these are just pictures. But I'm going to do it the correct way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my build directory here. And this is starting to get kind of sloppy. So I'm going to start organizing. I'm going to make a new folder. And this is going to be called my 2D art folder. Can't have space. 2D art folder. And I can click on import, or I can just drag these things in at this point. So let's just drag this thing in here, and this thing here, and that thing there. I'm just selecting. I'm just looking at my icons here. Green arrow or something like that. I don't know. And red hailstorm. That could be like the holy projectile right here. This, or maybe a fireball. I don't know. Okay, good enough. Purple skull effect. And then, of course, you save all, because all those asterisks you see there mean the thing is not saved properly. And maybe I'll throw like a couple weapon things in here if we do weapons eventually. Let's throw an axe in here. Get an axe and a sword of some sort, and a volcano. So, and again, save all. Okay, so now what I want to do, and now that I've migrated all this stuff over, is I want to have like a little heads-up display that has like the different icons for different spells, and I want to make it so that like I'll click like 1, 2, or 3, and then I'll select whatever spell or weapon that we're going to do. So, what should we do first? The heads-up display, maybe. So I can come up here and get a HUD. Did I not make a HUD yet? I have a widget. Build UE. Okay. There we go. So I can open that up. You can see I've got a health and a stamina. And so what I want to do is add maybe like some, I don't know, like a little. Where do you guys want it? Megan, you're a WoW player. Where do I put the icons for swords and things like that? Get an image up in here. In the center. On instinct, bottom left. Okay. So we'll just put in 3 images. Image. First one will be sword, I guess. Size. What size are these things? 100 by 100. Why not? Maybe too big? I don't know. We want this anchored to the bottom left corner of the screen so that it's always, in the bottom left. So if you resize the screen, it's always going to be a little bit to the right and a little bit up from the bottom left corner of the screen. Let's see. Okay. Those shortcuts weren't working. Let's just Control D to duplicate it. And then we can come in here and just manually adjust these things. So that's 40, 180 maybe. So this guy is 40 away from the left side. So he's going to go out to 140 to the right. So this guy will have the same amount of space. And we will duplicate that one more time. And so this guy goes from 180 to 280. So this guy needs to be at 320 to the right and negative 150 up. So now we've got 3 icons down here. The picture of this one will be for some sort of holy fireball kind of thing. I don't know. And for this one, I don't know, we'll do poison arrows or something like that. And we can put some text captions on them. But, or maybe we will. Maybe we should do this properly. All right, so we'll drag a text out here. And this guy again will be anchored to the bottom left. And the text will simply say 1. Now if we're going to allow rebinding our keybinds, then that should be a little more complicated than that, but copy paste to here, and this will be 2. And then this guy copy paste. And this guy will be 3. And now you might notice these things are not vertically lined up very well, right? So we can, let's look at this. Let's say it's negative 45 and 70. Let's see, 40 or 40, 70. Probably all right. No. 80 maybe. No. 75. Sure. Okay. This guy's negative 45. So this guy's at negative 45. This guy's at negative 45. So they're all sort of horizontally lined up now. And 360. And 230. Nope. Nope. 220 was actually just fine. Okay, there we go. 80. That's about right. Okay, so does Destiny 2 doesn't charge you a monthly fee to play though, does it? Or do they? Yeah, you sort of pay for the continual expansions that come out. Okay, so you can see here now we've got these cool little spell icons on the bottom left corner of the screen. And what we want is the ability to hit 1, 2, and 3 and select between. Oh, I've got the little Destiny ghost right there floating around me too. Yeah. Speaking of Destiny. So D1 ghost. And so you see it just kind of follows me around, circles around. Okay. So we got the UE done, I guess. We can have it highlight if we want to maybe highlight. Or can we have it selected, you know? I'll have it be the volcano by default. Okay, so we can have it highlight. Tinted. Whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Yeah, we could like have it highlight if we have it selected. I'm not gonna worry about it right now exactly. Okay, so we got all this. Now we need the ability to select between the weapons. So we need to have keybinds for 1, 2, and 3. Samuel Jackson Ghost, or what about Peter Dinklage? I thought he was like the OG Ghost. All right, so we're gonna go over to third person and go into input, go to actions, and we'll duplicate this guy and do like weapon 1, save, double click. Select weapon 1. And all looks fine. It's a digital. That's the main thing you have to worry about. Okay. And then right click, duplicate. And we got weapon 2, except I didn't click on it. It jumped out of my way. Weapon 2, and let's change the description here to weapon 2 and save view. And then finally we'll have weapon 3. So again, jumped out of the way of me clicking on it. Click, select weapon 3. Okay. So now that we've got these input actions here, we can go into the IMC default, go to mappings, and we are going to add a new mapping for weapon 1, which probably should have an IA in front of it, huh? Then we'll add one for weapon 2, and another one for weapon 3. And so weapon 1 will be bound to the 1 key, weapon 2 will be bound to the 2 key. Weapon 3, I click on the keyboard, tap 3, it's bound, we're done. We now have all of our keybinds set up by default. Okay, and so we now need to go into the blueprints, be the third person, and we need to have like weapon select here. Just add a comment. Holding down C, clicking gives you a comment, and let's call this select between. So we're gonna have weapon 1, and I'm gonna have weapon 2, and I'm gonna have weapon 3, and this is why I'm only doing 3 of these, because I would get very bored having any more than this at once. I'm just going to print string. I don't know if this is actually going to work. Weapon 1. Weapon 2. The new input action system is a little bit wonky. Seems like some of the options they give you on these things either don't work or they work weirdly, or you have to go back into the input model and change things to get the different things to work. Okay, so if I type 1, I get weapon 1, but you see it's triggering weapon 1 over and over again, which is not really what I want. 2 and 3, they both work, but they trigger over and over again, which is not, again, what I really want here. So one is started probably. I'm going to cancel fitted. Let's try that. Weapon 1, weapon 1, weapon 1, weapon 2, weapon 2, weapon 2, 3, weapon 3, 3. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. All right. So we've got the ability to have keybinds that will trigger these things. Now we need to have on the player a thing that is going to hold kind of like which weapon we are currently using. And so typically this is held in a variable called like current weapon or something like that. Maybe I'll do it a little bit properly. Maybe I'll show you guys a little something new here. Maybe I won't show it to you. There we go, enum. Okay. And this will be like weapon, so like that. And the first one will be called gun. Second one will be called holy spell, and the third one will be called poison. Yep. And there we go. All right. My favorite spell is gun. Bullets, my only weakness. Okay, so we've got an enum here, and so anytime you have something where you can like list of viable main weapons, that's flag. That'd be kind of fun. Okay, so now we can come in here and say variables current weapon, and the current weapon can be a enum. There's a lot of enums. Search for it. Weapons. Does it need to be public? Maybe if we're going to bind it to the... We're going to have the heads-up display read it. We might want to make it public in the future, but... Yeah, why not? Okay. Compile, save, current weapon. So you can see now, see, the way that a lot of games have the current weapon is it is just like an integer. And so like, 5 means, the rocket launcher or something like that. But by doing an enum, then we can very carefully constrain the options for like what you have equipped right now. You can never not have a gun spell equipped. You know what? Why didn't he do they? Yeah. Okay. So now we can have if statements and things like that that only work on the weapons enum, and we'll give you one of 3 options. So you don't have to handle all possible integers. There's just 3 cases because the enum only allows for these 3 values. And if I ever come back in and add new weapons to the game, all I have to do is edit that enum that has a list of weapons. And that works pretty well as long as you don't have this situation like Borderlands or something like that where you've got effectively infinite weapons and then you can't enumerate them all. Yeet. Okay. So now, if we do this, then we need to simply set current weapon. So we're going to set current weapon to gun. And if we pick number 2, we will set current weapon to holy spell. Not untriggered, not untriggered. And for this one, we will set it to poison. So now we have the ability to select between different weapons with 1, 2, and 3. The Harry Potter universe, no one uses a gun, right? It's funny. So yes, my favorite spell here. All right. Most important thing in Unreal Engine is making sure your blueprints are all vertically and horizontally aligned. Compile, save. Okay, so that's basically all we need to do for this weapon selection stuff. Let's give it a color. What color should selecting weapon be? What do you guys think? Green? Yeah, the wizard is green. Okay. Teal, yellow, green, blue, green. It's kind of pretty. Purple. Fuchsia. This is the most important thing when doing game dev, right? Is the color of your comment block. Oh, it's a gun red. Okay, yeah. We'll do like a purple red. There you go. All right. You literally spend much time on things like this. Exactly. It's the most important thing. Okay. So now that we can select between weapons, now when we shoot, we need to have a grenade we're not messing with. Left mouse click attack is now going to become a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do, because you can just imagine, right? Like how this is gonna go. Maybe I'll just put this thing down here. And this is one of the best things about comment blocks, is that you can just click and drag on the whole thing, and the whole thing moves. You don't have to grab the individual stuff here. So we got some room now, but I don't want to like have a giant. I don't want to have a giant spaghetti mess here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the gun shooty spell into a function. Okay, or I could do a macro. There's a slight technical difference between the two, but I don't think this needs to be a function. I think this could be collapsed to macro, because it doesn't take any parameters. Should be fine. So I'm going to collapse it to a macro, and so there we go. So this macro, and this is like some S tier, code management here, right? Just rename this to be fire gun spell, and then we can just double click on that if we ever want to look at it. So here's the entry point. Oh, we can add inputs to it. Okay. Maybe it's like functions could be called from other blueprints, and macros can't. There's some technical difference between the two, but they're very close. There. Okay. So that's the input to the macro. It runs the stuff. It does the stuff, and then it has an output, except there's no output on it. So we're good. Close that fire gun spell. Your brain just exploded from the code management. Yeah, like anytime your code starts just spaghettiing out of control like that, be able to just select some things and just be like collapse, to macro. Hide it inside of the block. Okay, so we got this, but now we need to have a switch, right? So this instead, let's see here, because we've got different options now for our weapons, right? So when we click, we only should fire the gun spell if we have the gun currently equipped, which is held inside of current weapon. So we can do inside of here, switch on weapons, and do you see how nice this is? like if we didn't have an enum, and if it was just held in like an integer, like I'm using weapon 7, then you'd have to have a whole bunch of branch statements like, okay, well if the value is 7, then do this, and with an enum you can just say switch on the enum, and then it just spits out all the options for you. And if you ever add a new weapon, then just a new pin will appear there, and you just pull off of it. So yeah, I don't use switches in C++ because the syntax doesn't follow the rules of the rest of the language, and it's stupid, and people forget the breaks all the time and stuff like that. But in switches and enums actually go really nicely together in Unreal Engine and in C++ as well. So is 50B still going? It is a combined 50A and 50B lecture today. So you guys get a double lecture, in part because the 50A people have been showing up less and less frequently. So we got here this, and now we just need to handle the code for Holy Spell and Poisons. First thing I want to do in order to get the Holy Spell into the game is I'm going to try and use that spawner. I just want to see if, because when you migrate stuff, like it usually works, but oftentimes it doesn't. So let's just try this. For those of you guys that showed up late, I've bought various asset packs over the years, and if you want to migrate something from one pack to another, you can right click on it. If you want to migrate from one project to another, rather, you can right click on any asset in a project, choose migrate, and then you select the content folder of the current project you're working on. So right now I'm inside of Fall 2023 5.3. I select its content folder, and then that copies over not only this blueprint here, but it also copies over all of its dependencies. Everything that it needs also get copied over when you use the migrate tool. Okay, so I've migrated a bunch of stuff over, and now I'm going to check out if it's actually going to work. So I'm going to choose this BP projectile spawner thing here, and I'm going to have it lined up maybe with this rock here. Raymond, do you know what the rock is cooking? There. Okay. Try that. Okay. Okay. And so this projectile spawner has inside of it, for the 50A people here, if we open this up, you'll see it's got a timer that every second it is going to call this event called spawn, and spawn calls spawn actor. What does it spawn? It spawns this class here, which is set to be BP projectile. So it's spawning a projectile every second, and it spawns a muzzle flash. So it has a muzzle flash set, and it's going to shoot something, and it's going to spawn a muzzle flash. And it shoots it. Okay. Those things are public variables, and so we can come up on this thing here and choose the holy impact. Let's see, fire impact. Let's see, holy trail, holy impact. Holy muzzle did not get exported over. Okay, good to know. So where is the muzzle stuff? Okay. So I'm just going to just select everything in here. Go to migrate, hit OK. It selects all the things and all the dependencies. Hit select, and we're going to just overwrite everything there and just hang out for a second. So now I'm going to have my Niagara. Niagara is a better version of that spawn emitter thing that we've been using so many times that it's really terrible, the little fire explosion. That's called Cascade. It's the old particle system. Niagara is fantastic. It is a lot of fun to play with. And in this case, we're just using somebody else's Niagara effects. I've got on my computer here just huge numbers of these asset packs that have explosions and stuff like that. Am I recording? Yeah, still recording. For projects, which should be called UE5 now. Assets, humble mega assets. So there's Niagara explosions, Niagara AoE magic abilities, so much cool stuff. Modular town, Small Saint Michel, which is an amazing place to visit. If you ever get the chance, Small Saint Michel is in France. And it's this little island fortress monastery that's connected to a causeway at low tide, or actually most of the time now. And it is just a absolutely gorgeous place. Like, if you love medieval history like I do, like I spent the night in that building right there, and man, it was a cool experience. Walking out on the castle walls, you know, in the middle of the night, listening to people drinking, the taverns above. It's really cool. So, all right, what is going on here? Why are you taking so long? Just come back over here. All right, and so we'll just use Ice Muzzle for now, and then the projectile class is going to be come back over here. Projectile class is BP projectile. Okay, and do divine projectile. There we go. And we are gonna save and run. And you can see here, we now have this thing spawning a holy shot. And when the projectile hits the target, it explodes in this like bit of holy magic here. This rock is non-collision, so the projectiles are actually going right through the rock. Okay. If you're new to your passport, yeah, I have to get my real ID again or something like that. Okay, so what we want, so now that we've verified that projectile is working, what we want is when we click on 1, we shoot the gun. When we click on 2, notice nothing happens. Okay, so let's head back into here. And so we want, when holy spell happens, we want to basically do the exact same thing that we have in that demo code. This is why demo code is so nice. You can just plagiarize it, right? So instead of spawning a timer and all this kind of stuff, we just basically want this component here. So what we want is the ability to make a transform, which is the translation, rotation, and scale. Scale, of course, is usually just set to 1 for everything. So really the translation and rotation of the player, the firing point, and then that feeds into this. Yep. And so we'll come back over to here. And come down to here. And what we're going to do is say spawn actor by class, from class, not by class. And we're going to spawn a holy project, a BP divine projectile. Okay. And then the important thing is the transform. I'm actually going to do this a little different from them. They made a transform. It's a little too much work for me. I'm going to split this instead. I'm just going to ignore the spawn because it's already set to 1. And so the location it's going to spawn at, if we look at our player over here, I've got a firing point, right? We got a grenade point. We got a gun shoot point. Gun shoot point sounds like the point that a holy projectile should be coming out of me. So over here and get gun shoot point and get the location. Get the world location of it. So that's where the projectile is going to appear. And then its rotation should just be the get world rotation as well. And let's try that. So guns, There we go. Look at that. Easy as that to make a... They're not very fast, are they? I'm like kind of faster than these projectiles. Well, we can probably fix that. This guy... This is the guy that got spawned. And so we could probably adjust its speed by going to Holy, Projectile Divine, Full Blueprint Editor, and Projectile Movement, and looking at initial speed. Should be fine. Okay. So we will get movement component. Projectile movement. Okay. So we're going to get its movement component, and we're going to set its projectile speed, its initial speed, to be 5,000. Let's try that. It does not seem to be affecting anything. Still slow. Well, the other thing we could do is we could just change this to 5,000. So we don't have to mess with it. It'll just always be fast. There we go. And they're going right through the monsters, of course. Okay. Why do you have a floating? It's the ghost from Destiny. It's Peter Dinklage. Yeah. Look. It's supposed to be like this little buddy here, right? There's like all sorts of weird shaped ones, and so I just took a couple cubes and put them over each other. Yeah, not exactly the correct shape, but I don't know. I feel like it looks, yeah. At least yeah, in the right ballpark. Yeah, right. Okay, so when I click by default, nothing's happening. That's interesting to me. I can select the gun, but by default the gun was not selected. Teleporter. There we go. Okay, so maybe this is a little bit fast. Maybe we can slow that down a little bit. BP Divine Projectile. Come over here, make it 2,000. That should be fine. Okay. So the other problem we have with this is that this guy is not colliding with anything. Default enum val is 0. See, that's the thing, right? Like, we set the default weapon. Oh, we set it to poison. There you go. There's your problem right there. All right. We don't need this anymore. Okay. And then the other thing we're doing on the projectile spawner is we're doing a little muzzle flash action here, which, I don't know. I don't really feel like I need it. But I guess we do it. So we can, what's that? Spawn system. So spawn emitter is the old Cascadia system. It's terrible. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do spawn system instead of spawn emitter. Application. Yeah. Yes, we do that. And we're going to do the VFX. What's it called? Holy something. Holy impact. Holy muzzle flash. There we go. So that thing finally exported. Good. Great. Thank you for helping. And then it is also going to, the muzzle flash is going to appear at our gun shoot location and be rotated alongside of us. The scale is 1 as always. Auto destroy, auto activate. Sweet. Okay. So now we should get a muzzle flash when we click. And now our gun works again. Neat. Yeah, you see that? So we get a little muzzle flash when we shoot. That's pretty cool. Might cause me to get epilepsy. I'm not sure. So I actually think I like it better without it. Let's scale this down. I actually don't really like it. I don't know. Do you guys like it? It's kind of like it's kind of cool, but kind of distracting too at the same time. No. I'm just going to turn it off for now. I'm going to leave it in there. I'm just going to turn it off. Okay. And now I can just take all this stuff here and right click and collapse to macro. And this macro is now going to be called fire police. The other thing we need to do with it is make sure that the projectile is colliding properly. And for some reason it's not hitting the monsters. It's hitting solid objects, but it's going right through the monsters. There's different reasons why it would do that. The most obvious is the trace channel set on the monsters here. That's your BP. Simulation generates hit events. Turning that on. Overlap, sure. Collision presets are set to character mesh, which blocks camera traces, does not block visibility traces, which is one of the reasons why our trace lines pass right through it by default. It is ignoring pawns and vehicles, so I think that's why it's not running into our projectiles. So I'm going to change it from a character mesh to just block all, and then that should actually resolve it. I say that, but there's 900 different reasons why things don't work in Unreal. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So I can now shoot him with the holy spell that does no damage. That's a much nicer looking projectile effect than our grenade. Our grenade's a little ball, right? That actually looks pretty good. I like that. Okay. And our monsters are still doing that trace line, which we're going to turn that off because that's distracting. After a while, by the way, anytime you do a trace line, I always turn on the debugging. Always remember to turn them off also, because you might notice like you just start seeing lines everywhere, and after a while you're just like not even sure where they're coming from. There's just trace lines everywhere. Okay, so that was a good change on the monster. Okay. You need a spellcasting animation. True. Oh. So where's the code? Where's the code? It's responding a BP divine projectile. BP Divine projectiles that inherit. Yeah, it inherits from BB projectile. That's what it's from. Go up to the parent class, and projectile movement. I'm going to set. Yeah, okay. The default speed for all the projectiles I'm going to set to 2000. Still seems a little fast. I might take it down just a little bit, like 1800. Ooh, homing projectiles. That's pretty cool. That's neat. Oh, I kind of want to do that for the poison one, maybe. Okay. Interpolate. Okay, I don't care about any of that. Okay. So the parent class says when somebody hits the sphere, which is that part of it right there, when somebody hits it, we're gonna fire the impact point, impact normal, split, impact point, impact normal. So it's gonna spawn the hit VFX on it and destroy itself, but it's not doing any damage. And so we need to add a damage amount to the parent class here. This will be called damage amount. Float, public, compile, save. By default, a projectile will do 40 damage or something. And then when we hit something, then we will damage, apply damage. We'll do just regular damage, whatever. And the base damage is going to be you. Yep. Rest that's fine, I guess. Technically, the player is the instigator, but it doesn't matter. All right. So that. Okay. So now if we run this. Ooh, it's not actually hurting them. Interesting. Because they didn't hook up the damage actor, of course. All right. Maybe we should do that. Classic. There we go. All right. So now we've got this holy weapon here. And it's able to shoot the monsters, their spells. Looks pretty good. Okay. So the last thing we need to do is add the poison weapon now. And so we'll come back into BB third person character, close out a fire holy spell. Yeah, if you ever double click on one of these macros, you might be wondering, like, how do I get back to the event graph? You can actually click back up here, and that'll take you back up. I usually just close out of it when I'm done, but you can leave it open if you want. So we need now for poison, we're going to basically do the exact same thing as fire holy spell. In fact, I'm just going to duplicate this and just gonna copy this maybe. Paste that and come in here. If it's poison, we're gonna do a poison projectile. And everything else should be the same. Gun shoot point. Spawn. We're not. Maybe we will. I don't know. Poison. Maybe the poison muzzle flash isn't as bad. Let's find out. Okay. File, save, run. Good. So the poison attack works too. Those flashes are kind of annoying. That's cool. Okay. Now, what I saw earlier was it had like a homing projectile option. So I've never worked with this asset pack before. I have actually no idea if it works. Maybe the divine projectile. Maybe we can have you be like the fast, speedy one. Maybe even speed it up a little bit more than usual. Compile, save, and then for the do we not have it open? Okay, so we're gonna go to poison, poison, poison projectile, poison projectile. Thank you. Open full blueprint editor. So maybe we're gonna have poison projectile like override some of these things, right? Is homing projectile. Okay. Homing target component must be set. Homing target component must be set after it's spawned. See, homing target component, homing acceleration magnitude. Alright, accelerate towards homing target. Is there a homing? I don't see a homing target. I don't see a homing target component. How do we set that? Okay, well that was exciting. You look at the clock, how time went by. Because Unreal's documentation on homing projectiles is grossly inadequate. So if you look at their documentation, it just doesn't say anything on how to do this. So basically, so when we fire, we don't need any of this. So the BP projectile by default is set to, let's say, not be homing projectile with an acceleration of 2,000. But we're going to have our poison projectile override that and be a homing projectile with a acceleration of 2,000 or something like that. So let's try this now. And when we run it, our holy shots are holy, and then our green shots, you can see, start homing in on us, right? Because I've set the poison shots to home in on me. And so they're kind of like these weird poison. I shouldn't call it poison. I should call it guardian spirits or something like that. Because you can see these things are kind of like swinging all around, and they will hit the zombies. So it's kind of fun. All right. So the missing part in the documentation was how to set this thing here. How do you set the target that you're going to attack? So the this is actually really terrible because it's going to be attaching a new scene it's going to be attaching a new scene component to the player every time a projectile is created, and then it'll set that as the target homing component. It's really terrible, isn't it? Maybe we do a better way than this. But basically, what you do is you grab the projectile movement, and then you drag off of that, and you choose set homing target component. That's how you can set it. And whatever component you put in there, the projectile will zoom in on. And yeah, you guys can leave if you want. I don't care. So the that's the key. Whatever component you put in there is going to be the thing that it will zoom in on. So let me see if I can do this better. Compile. Let's see here. BP projectile. Save. Third-person character. So we're creating this guy. Let's get the projectile movement on it. Not you. We're going to get the projectile movement on you. And on you, we are going to set homing target component. That's what we're looking for right there. So when we create our poison missile, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a component out there in the world somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Let's find the nearest zombie and have it lock on that. So, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Okay. So let's get all actors of class of type BP monster. Obviously, this is not going to work. You have lots of different kinds of monsters. BP, it's monster BP, I think. Sorry. I always put my BPs backwards from the way normal people do it. So I'm going to get all the monsters in the world. And then here, find the nearest actor. Origin is my origin. Just use gun shoot point. So the nearest actor of that is going to be this guy. And we will set him as we can't quite hook this in though, because we need to get a component out of it. What is inside of BP monster anyway? Bill monster BP. Let's just add a scene component to it called shoot me. Save compile. And we will grab get shoot. This is really just returning an actor. Even though this is all actors to monster BP type. Okay, cast to monster BP, which it has to be because it's an array of monster BPs. Okay, so out of all of the monsters, we find the nearest one. That guy has to be hooked up here. And then you, there, you get shoot me like that. And that should do that. Okay. So we're going to get the shoot me component on the monster and set that as the homing target. And line these guys up one more time. That should do it, hopefully. I don't know. We'll find out. There you go. Seems like it's arcing into the... Line this up. Good. That's kind of fun. Okay, so let's make the poison projectile maybe have a little bit more homing, acceleration. Let's try like 5,000. Let's see if that works. Good. Not quite. Not as effective as you'd think, huh? Try one more time with a much higher acceleration. Sometimes you can talk to me anytime you want. Oh, the shoot me component might be on the ground. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good call. Let's put it right up. Right there. Yeah, that's good. A good call right there. All right, that's pretty cool. All right. So that's a pretty successful homing weapon, I would say now. Could cut the acceleration down a little bit. It's a little bit janky right now. Yeah, right now it just kind of curves towards them, but isn't like super necessarily accurate. I kind of like the look of that. That feels good. Solid, very solid. All right, that's it for today. It is a long lecture. It's an hour long. So that's it for today, everybody. For the 58 people, you're got to do all this. All right, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye.